It's said that music heals. Our guest is the living embodiment of that. DJ Cherish TheLuv. Welcome to Deeper Dives. Let's get to it. So we're here today on Deeper Dives with DJ Cherish TheLuv.
Hey.
Cherish, to quote Shrek, life is like an onion, right? With many, many layers. You have an onion feel to your layers. Let's start with a layup, as it were. The name DJ Cherish TheLuv.
I don't know if people are ready for this.
Bring it.
I'm bringing it. Okay, so my middle name is indeed Cherish. My first name is Cynthia. My mom named me after the association song, Cherish. Cherish is the word. How do you not know that? Yeah. So growing up in the 80s, I was bullied because my name was Cherish, because there was a Madonna song, Cool in the Gang song. Told my mom I don't want to be called that ever again, and had the name removed from all my school stuff. Later on in life, she has a stroke, and I literally pray to God, please bring her back, and I will use Cherish again. He keeps her around, and I bring Cherish back into my world, and then slowly, eventually end up working in music, and meet someone named the Jizza from Wu-Tang.
Just meet someone.
Just meet someone at a TED Talk, and he's sitting next to me, finds out my name's Cherish, and I'm watching his teens perform, and then I'm thinking, I need to get a new DJ name. What should it be? And as I say that, and he's saying bye to me, he says, Cherish TheLuv, and waves, walks away. And I was like,
there it is.
There it is. That's a story. True story, every bit of it.
Well, with Deeper Dives, many times we're always talking about personal brands, building brands, and people finding their passion and then building a brand around that. In an interesting way, I feel like your passion found you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you take everyone back a little bit of how you started to get into music, and then we can elaborate more on that.
Yeah, I didn't actually study music, go to a music school or anything. I was formerly a high-level graphic designer, working for many different advertising agencies and publishing companies. And in 2008, got into an accident, had a head injury, couldn't do that work anymore, and found that music was my healing. I had high-functioning amnesia. I had post-concussive syndrome, could not find, my sense of myself through cognitive behavioral therapy or anything they gave me, until one day I hear on the radio Paul Anka, Lonely Boy, and I'm remembering my childhood.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, so it's music. It's going to be music. That's my therapy. I go on to Napster and all these things, and I start to just download tons of music for therapy. And I was listening to music and songs, and I realized this is how I'm going to reconnect to who I am. Because I hear something and I think of high school. I think of all these things. So from there, I start to ask coffee shops in the East Village, can I, play music and just be around it? And they say, oh, you want a DJ? And I was like, no, I'm not a DJ. I have 2 iPods. And I just play music. Like, okay, cool, you can DJ. So I'd be sitting there and just sorting through and listening to music. And that was really very much my reconnecting to the emotions and everything. And eventually they're like, we have to pay you.
Okay.
So I was like, give me a penny. My first several gigs were a penny, and I have the envelopes.
Oh, nice.
Then a month later, they're like, we're going to pay you a fair wage. How about $25 for the night? I was like, great. And then someone in the audience was like, do my wedding. And then it just all started to build from there. And they started calling me DJ. And I had a different name then as a DJ. DJ Artista, I think it was, so long ago. That was before I met the Jizza, who gave me the new one.
I mean, like Mitchell said, you are the onion. There's so many layers.
So much.
Let's go back to the root of the onion for a moment. You were a high-level graphic artist. I mean, you were already successful.
Yeah.
We were talking the other day, and you were already with bands at MSG, which is the Parthenon, right? So you're at the highest level and going higher. To get there, you must have had a tremendous passion for graphics and visuals, no?
Communication. And that's what I think is the common thread between visual and sonic, all of it is communicating something, whether I'm going to communicate something to you visually and you're going to receive it in your eyes or you're going to receive it in your ears. Maybe my next career is going to be a cook and I'll be communicating that way. It's like, who knows? But I think my core, most passionate way to be is to just be an open communication, like back and forth. And storytelling is like, it's everything to me.
Just one quick follow-up. Close your eyes. Do you see an image or do you hear music or both?
Both, yeah, immediately.
You do understand that most people close their eyes and see nothing.
Is that so? I saw immediately like Tuscany.
Wow.
Seriously, like I saw the trees.
And what was the music
It
like?
was just like ambient. Yeah, all the time.
So when you were back in those coffee shops and you were creating a mood or just kind of feeling the vibe of the people that were in there, what were the things that you would try to have them hear through music? Was it just whatever you felt like or just what you thought they would want to hear?
That's an amazing question because no, I didn't care about that. I mean, I'm going to be really honest.
Yeah.
It was like,
This
it was
is
a
for me.
self-discovery. It
Yeah.
really was. And I knew that I just had to listen to music. But I'd listen to it and not even realize that there were people listening and
Oh, wow.
enjoying. And then later on would come up and say, that was really nice. What was that? And I was like, oh, you were listening? And then slowly over years, I would realize there's a whole audience that is tuning out their lives right now, wanting to hear what I'm going to put out there.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started to evolve and realize like the communication was actually two-way.
The amazing thing is you did not leave being a graphic artist by choice. What exactly happened that had you, as so many things we talk about with deeper dives, you hit what would have been rock bottom, and of course you found yourself. So did you leave graphic artistry by choice, or why give it up?
I think it's like what you said. There was something else that needs to find me. So it was whatever the higher power was like, you need to stop this. No more graphic design for you. What happened was I was longboarding, those long skateboards. Of course, no helmet.
Oh.
Going down a hill, hit a pebble, blinked. Suddenly I see grass. And I had hit my head 3 times on the ground.
Oof.
And in that impact, broke my shoulder, my knee, my other knee was trashed. I was really damaged and had this concussion. It was the concussion that then gave me this huge block. Like I just didn't understand like what my job was, how to function, my relationships, like anything, or who I was, which is kind of like a vacation in a way until you realize you're not functioning in the world. So I had what's called post-concussive syndrome for a solid 1.5 years. And that's where my graphic design career started to dwindle and people were like, where are you? And I wasn't responding to anything. I remember opening my laptop and hearing Outlook Express, ding, 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 ding. And I had 7,998 emails unread after me not touching the computers for like a solid year. And all of that work was, I just couldn't do it anymore. So that was the turning point. And I'm going to say something weird. I kind of asked for it. I didn't want to do that job anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah, but you got to be really careful how you ask for things.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember sitting in my office overlooking Central Park. I had everything I wanted. The office with a door, the view of Central Park, the senior title. And I was like, I'm not happy. It's like, what is going on here? This is what I went to school for. Why am I, what's missing? And then I remember thinking, I wish I was doing something else. But I didn't say under good conditions.
You got to be more specific.
I learned. So that was the switching point for me.
But that is such a great lesson because I feel like a lot of people do exactly that path. They go to school, then they're kind of forced to focus on something specific, a major or a direction, and then start looking for those types of jobs. And then, you're making the money, you got the title, you got the office, but then are you truly happy? And you don't realize it until something happens or something else comes into your life like, this is what I was meant to do. How did I waste, not that you wasted time doing the other stuff, but you don't realize it until something happens.
Yeah, because it's calling you. It's like you said. So the passion of communication through music and through writing is what's pulling me through this life. I can try to resist it as much as I want. It's going to bang me up on the wall and be like, no, get back on track. And that's why we're here today.
But they can't hear it, but they're feeling it.
Yeah, my dog is deaf. I'll play music with heavy bass.
Wait, of course your dog is deaf. You wouldn't, of course. You wouldn't have your average perfectly healthy dog. Does your dog have 4 legs or just 2? Because with you,
just 6 legs.
6 legs, right? That's just who you are.